Welcome back, Figment Quad 4 here, and I'm in my Redstone testing world here. I had a question about the video 3 new puzzle rooms, and they were asking if I could do a tutorial on some of the redstone. So, I'm here, and I'm going to try to explain some of it to you. So let's get started. If I can figure out the right perspective. So, right here is sort of the basics of the Decoder Ring room. Now, they said they understood this part, so, let's say we want orange and blue to be flipped on. This is a simple levers going in AND gates. I think I explained this in the video. And then we've got this whole setup here to make the chest visible or not visible. So I'm not going to explain that because I believe I explained it before. You can kind of see the guts of it here. If you want to pause on a frame here and maybe be able to make it yourself. The Decoder Ring is actually not that difficult either. So what's going on here is essentially we have a piston feed tape. So the idea behind a piston feed tape is you have some sort of string, like a circle of different blocks, and whenever you do an input, it pushes them around. So you can see that orange block is now going to go over there, I believe. Boom. And so every time I push this, all of the blocks just get rotated one. And this has a lot of different uses. But yeah, essentially these are the pistons and this is the feed tape. You can have anything in there you want. There's also the idea of having one where you've got, let's say some blocks and you've got a piece of glass here. And so you could have redstone. And you know that when redstone is pushed through here, let's see here. Well, let's do this so you can see it. But when it goes through a block, the repeater pushes the power through. But going through glass doesn't conduct redstone in the same way that a full non-transparent block does. And so you could have a feed tape like this. You could have this, all glass, so that only whenever this block is lined up right here will a signal actually get through. So the idea here is if you had, let's see, piston here, boom. That pushes that, so now nothing's getting through because the block's not in the right way. The piston feed tape is, powered to move it the right way, and then boom, suddenly you have redstone going through. So that's the idea. Here you can see it's pretty easy. We've got a button powering this piston, and the redstone also goes around and powers the caddy corner piston, because we can have that push this way and this push that way at the same time. And then we need to delay because those pistons need to retract, and then we want these other two pistons that are caddy corner from each other to then push the blocks. So that's why we have these with no delay, and then we have to add this delay of 2 repeaters on full delay. So you can see the redstone goes through here, and then it makes it through there. So then you get this nice little, those two push, and that's how the tape goes around. So, pretty simple stuff. So the Decoder Ring is literally just that. So you can see that little concept here. We've got our pistons here. We've got our feed tape here. And then by covering it up with the floor, now it's, put into the floor. You can't see the rest of it. So all you see is where we have it exposed. So what I did was, if one of the answers is blue, we went with portal colors here, orange and blue. So if this is blue, I want this to be black, because in the Decoder Room, we have a string of black ones. You line them up to where that's black, and then these will be the colors you need to flip the switches for. So that's how that works. Underneath, we just have these target blocks underneath the pistons. And so all you have to do is make it so whenever they push the button, it will go through that. I'll explain that in a second. But it'll put redstone signal in here, and it'll power that piston and that piston. And then here's the delay, as you can see, to power the other pistons. And so it's pretty trivial. You just do that, you set up the pistons around the second ring, and you put target blocks beneath them and power them with the correct amount of delay. If you need a little more explanation on the delay, so redstone can go pretty far before it needs sort of recharge. So it can go to here. If I had this here, it doesn't go through there. So a repeater will extend the power, and so the bigger your circuit gets, the more likely it is that you're going to have something that's over here, where you're going to have a repeater to get the signal to get over to it. So if, let's say that I had to put 2 repeaters in there to get it there, well then I'm going to need the same amount of repeaters. If I want this to power at the same time as that, then I'm going to need to have the same delay on this. So if I turn this off, turn it on, you can see they both turn on at the same time. For whatever reason, we need these delayed further. As long as you make sure there's the same amount of repeaters at the same delay for both of them, then they'll both happen at the same time. So, the only other trick to this is that a button sometimes works. So in this case, you can see the button works just fine. But in this case, if let me grab a button here. We've got white, we've got blue. We've got white, we've got blue. You can see it's not moving because the timing just isn't working out. And I can't really tell you why, but you go to build something, and if it doesn't work out, you've got to figure it out. So what's going on is, for whatever reason, the power of the button staying on is powering these for too long. And so the pistons that it's powering first are extended when it goes to do the second one, so they won't go. So let's say if, and this is why I don't understand why this one works fine and that doesn't, because it should be the same. So I don't know if it's because of the proximity of everything I've got here or what the situation is. But anyway, the way to fix this is you've got a button on a rising edge detector. And I've explained this before, but essentially what it is you've got an observer, and then you've got your redstone here. So, I'd like a lever, please. You can see that whenever the lever was turned on, the piston extends. The observer notices a change because it's looking at that block. So as it's moved, it says, hey, something's changed. And it outputs a redstone signal just for a second. Not a second, just a tick. So this redstone detects that. So you can see, boop, it lights up for just a second. But then it stops because now there's no longer a change behind the observer, so no more redstone output. So it turns any sort of, like, this is a lever. This is, you turn it on and it's on. But this makes it so it's only on for that first little instance. And then we pull it back, there's no redstone coming out of it. So yeah, that's a rising edge detector. Turns the button into this. And then, it's just a puzzle of hooking up all the redstone, fitting it all in. So, we'd put pistons around this side, we'd have redstone feeding into it, make sure it all has the correct delays, etc. And yeah, so that's the Decoder Room. It's pretty simple. Then there's also the Parkour Room. Now the Parkour Room, not too hard either. So there's a wall with a bunch of blocks that come in and out. So, oops, there we go. If we hook these all up, let's say we get a little clock going. Jump start it. And now we hook this up here. Every time that clock goes around, the piston's extended. Right? So we can make the clock whatever we want and change how fast this is extending. But this is essentially what we have in that room is we've got this walkway here, and this pushes us off if we don't have the time, right? Because we got to jump up. we go. So there's your clock. To stop it, we need to take a block out. So one way to do this is we could have a block here. The repeater will put the redstone through, and it'll get to where it needs to go. So we have a sticky piston here, and so now that's there. And so if we wanted to turn the circuit on and off, we could have a lever here. When it's off, there's no clock. Then when it's on, we want this to put out a change. So what we'll do is we'll observe that the piston changed, and when it did, we'll put redstone in there. So that'll jumpstart the circuit by providing a little redstone pulse for a tick. And then that block will be there to let it go through. So as soon as we turn on this lever, you can see now the clock's working. It's going through that block. And if we were to turn this off, the piston retracts. When the redstone finishes going through there, it has no block to carry it, so it just stops at that repeater. So now we have a clock that we can turn on and off to make this room have the pistons move. Pretty simple. Then of course we have the barrel. Let's see. With an item in it, so we'll need a comparator here. So yeah, a comparator is going to put out a signal based on how full this is. We want to have one item in there, and when that's in there, we want something to happen. So we'll just put a repeater here so that we can make the signal go to wherever we need. Then we've got the wall. I guess I'll need more of this here. So here's the wall opposing. I guess we can just put it where it is. So like here's the pit you fall into, and then here's this wall here, and we want. I should have done this first. There we go. Okay. So we've got this here, and whenever we take something out of here, then we would like for this to push out so that we can walk across, because we'll be standing here after we make it through the parkour. So here's a wall, right? So we've got our repeaters here, and now we've got this cool animation where they kind of, it does instead of all at once. So we're just going to add a little bit of delay to these. So when the redstone comes in, we want it to go here, and then we need just a little more delay on that one, and this one, that's going to be full. There we go. So that'll allow us to get back to the other side of the room. So I don't know why I put that over there. We'll put that here. We'll grab this guy. Okay. So you've got a comparator, you've got a repeater, we've got a redstone signal that needs to come over here. So the problem is right now, if we have this in here, it'll be extended. You can see it did that animation. You can also see that this redstone was too far, so it didn't make it. So we're going to extend it right before this just to make sure everything makes it. So now we need to turn this around actually. So we're just going to put a block here with a redstone torch. Boom, boom. That just reverses the signal, so if this is on, that's off. So now if we put this, if we take this out, you can see those extend, and if we put it back, they go back into the wall. This is the item filter that I had in my tutorial video. So this is the basic concept of it. Items are in here. Here's the filter. We've got these items that you're not going to put into it, and you've got the item that you want it to grab. So this, any redstone ore was already pulled out. All the rest of this can't go in here because this is full of other items. When something goes into here, you know, one of these drops down, it makes this just that one bit extra. So we've got 41, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 45 items it'll put out 2 redstone signal, but if you were to throw one more item in there, it would be 46. This redstone would extend to here, which then would power this block. The repeater would see that, unpower this torch, allowing this hopper to pull an item out. You can see you've got one there, and it feeds into here. So to build the item filter, we're going to need this configuration of blocks here. So we'll go here, boom, 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 and there we go. So you have a comparator here, which outputs redstone signal here, here, here. You've got a repeater here, and then you've got your torch here, which powers this block. So you're going to have your chest here for your items to end up in. You'll have your hopper, boom, and this hopper needs to be facing the comparator, just so it doesn't try to put anything out, because that one won't be locked, so it'll hold the things because it can't put it out into a comparator. And then this one wants to suck those items out and put it in here, but it's locked by this right here. And so you just build several of these to fill this. You know, I'll take one of these number blocks here because the player's not going to have that. So I need that here. I need 41, is it? Yeah, 41, and then there we go. And then whatever block I want, you know, let's say I want a piston. So there's the item filter all set up. Then basically what we have is the input chest for the room. I'm going to put it right there. Or, I don't know, whatever, right here. So when the player walks in the center room, this is where they put their stuff. We want a string of hoppers here. Again, crouch to place something on the right, on the side of a container, so you can see it connects there, so it's trying to funnel into it. So if I put an item in here, like that for instance, it'll suck it out, it'll push it through here, it'll stay here because it can't go down there. However, if I throw in a piston or a target block, we just, there we go. I throw in a piston, boom, it ends up going through here and into there. And so we just have a string of these, and then when it gets to the end, whatever item is still in here, we essentially just have that feed back into this chest. So if I put one of the correct items in there, like this, it won't end up in this chest, instead it'll end up down here. If I put the wrong item in there, it'll end up in this chest. So that's how we return the items to the player. So the main other thing we need to do is we need to take the fact that this is sucking an item out of here, and we need to somehow put that into, you know, some sort of AND gate to where we have, when all these are correct, then something happens. So the trick is whenever the correct item goes in there, like it'll get stuck here. So we could have a comparator feeding off of this if we wanted. The other way to do it is when, you know, we put a piston, it comes through here, it comes down here, and for that little moment before it gets sucked down there, the way that, you know, the way it operates is that this redstone lights up, right? So all we have to do is put a repeater there, and then now every time the correct thing is put in there, we get a signal. So what I want to happen is when we get the correct signal, we're going to have some sort of toggle, right? Or well, we're gonna lock the signal. So there's different ways to do that. In this case, we're just gonna do, actually let's do normal pistons here. So boom, boom. We've got a block here and a block here. So whenever they get the correct item, this piston pushes the block out, and it'll leave it, so the block will then be here instead. And so what we need is redstone torch underneath that, and then a, you know, redstone coming out of that. So you can see when the block has been pushed out, now there's redstone coming out of it, and before that it's not. So now we can have this feed into an AND gate. So once they've got this, so this one needs to be a piston. Boom, they get it right, it pushes this block. Now the AND gate allows the output to be turned on. And this is where we would have, a door. If we were to reset it, put these blocks back here, the door is closed, I can't get through, but when they put in the correct items, these blocks move over, allowing the door to open. And you can see we could add more of these item filters in a row, we could have more AND gates, that's not a problem. So that's how that works, and then the only thing you have to worry about is resetability, because this is once they've done the puzzle, do we want to have to come in here and put the block back, or would we rather have something that sort of automates it? So that's just figuring out that puzzle of how do you reset it. And what I ended up doing was a series of sticky pistons. Let's see if I can remember how to do it. So, oh, no, that's not going to be right. Okay, so let's just say they threw a piston in there. Boom, that gets pushed over. Now I want it to reset. So what I'm going to want is this to pull the block back up. Then I'm going to want this to be powered to pull the block back over. And then I'll need... that won't work. So I'll need like a regular piston to then push the block down. So pull up, pull over, push down. Let's see if I can do that. So now you need to figure out how to independently power these things. And it has to be in the correct order. So let's say I've got a button here to reset it. Do I have a button anywhere? Okay, let me just grab a button then. Alright, so I've got a button here that I want to reset things. So I want it to power that piston to pull it up. Then I want to have it power this piston. I want a delay though, because that one needs to finish its thing first. And then I want it to come and power this right here, I think. So let's try it out. No. This part didn't work. If I have... Let's see, if I power that, will that do anything different? Also, I forgot to add a delay to it. Let's put that as some delay. Okay, let's rethink this, because right now I'm making it more complicated by having this over here, when I could just simply have this, oops, just put a block here, there. So now, this block's here, they throw in a piston, congratulations, you did the right thing, ba-ba-ba. Now I want this to pull up, then this to push over, and then this to push down. Is that easier or harder? We'll see. So one thing is, if I could get this block here, this one's easy enough, and this one here, I guess. So first we want this. Right. So when we hit the button, first we want that to happen, then after a small delay we want that to happen, and then after a slightly longer delay we want that to happen. So let's see what happens. Oh, again, this button is lasting too long, so we're going to want a rising edge detector here, because we don't want this taking that long to reset. So we'll put one of these guys here. So we want the observer to be here, with a sticky piston here, and so when we push this button, okay, so now it's reset. Throw a piston in here. Block ends up back there. We hit this, and it resets it. So that's sort of the thought process of creating one of these things, or any sort of redstone circuit, is you just say, what's the problem, how do I fix it, and you just kind of mess around. So I wanted this block to be moved from here back to here. The other option is if you have the right setup, you can have, you know, pistons here. So I've got, oops, this feeding off the side of it. The reason we did it in a slightly more complicated way is because we wanted this to be layered, right? We have to have 4 of them in a row. But if you just had one thing and you had all the space around it, you could have the output feed out the side of it. So, you know, it's like, hey, they did it right. Now the block's there, it's good. And to reset it, you simply push this button. Like, that would be a lot easier, but then your signal from this would have to come out the side of it. So you couldn't have 4 in a row, if that makes any sense. And also, yeah, so like this is the easiest. You push a block out and it locks it, and then just having this. And this part here is pretty tileable as well, because so all I need is, sorry, that block there. I need a piston there, and then I'll need a sticky piston there, facing down, and there we go. And then I need to just continue the power. So that one's feeding here. So we'll just have a repeater that pushes that through. We don't need any other delay because they'll all be pushed through with a repeater, so the delay is just automatically going to be alright. We've got this here, we've got this here, repeater. So this is going to push through here to here. This one is going to push through there to there. So now if we push this, the entire series gets moved. So let's go ahead and, you know, drop another target block in there, it goes away. Drop another piston in there, it goes away. So now these are in this position. You can see the door's open because the AND gate's good. When we push this button, both of those blocks will get moved back. Ooh, something went wrong. So we've got to figure out what it was. So, did it even pull that? It's kind of hard to see what's going on. Let's just for troubleshooting purposes, I'd like to see what's going on. So, yeah, let's do some button we can hit a little further away here. There we go. So you can see this piston right here is going first. And since that's going first, this one can't go down. So we need to figure out why that's doing that. It could potentially be because this is too close to it. Sometimes that causes problems. So we'll just move this whole setup further away. Give ourselves more room to work with. That's one of the huge things, is just space constraints. How much space do you have to do anything? And that's one of the big challenges, is whenever you build a room or something, and then you're like, okay, how do I fit this puzzle inside of it? That's why it's better if you build redstone first, and then build whatever you need around it, because you don't know how much space the redstone is going to take up, and it's nice to have room to work with. So this, it's like I extended it here. That might solve our problems. I don't know. Let's find out. Nope, that still went first. So why did that go first? I don't know. Maybe I do need to add more delay. Let's try it. Nope. Okay, I was wrong about something else instead. So the piston is a transparent block, so whenever the repeater's trying to push through, it doesn't actually push redstone through it. So that doesn't work. We need to have blocks on top that pass that signal across. That's how we need to do it. So we'll just make the redstone here. That one's fine. We'll do here, here, here. You need a repeater here, full ticks on these guys. So then that should work. There we go. Yeah, that was pretty nice. So now you can see it pretty clearly what it does. You can see if we reset it, nothing will happen, because if it's, if it doesn't need to happen. So here we go. We'll throw a target block and a piston in here, so that both of these get pushed over. We fire that, boom, they both get moved to where they need to go. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. That's how to do the central room, this is how to do the parkour room, and this is how to do the decoder room. If you have any more specific questions, just let me know. Hopefully I was able to cover everything that you had questions about. And if there's anything else that you need explained, just let me know. Poof. Poof. And I'll see if I can make more videos about it. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.